Diolch yn fawr, thank you for asking me here. I'm a bit worried after that big build-up. I wouldn't consider myself an expert on any of this, but I'm more than happy to share what we do. I grew up on a small farm in a little village called Dyffryn, which is in Snowdonia. I went off to college to do design engineering, and did that before moving back home to our family farm in 2007, I think it was. So as I say, I know a bit about farming, I know a bit about engineering, but not so much about tourism perhaps. But I'll share with you what we do anyway. So we've got this booking agency. We started off with just one holiday cottage ourselves, which is where I met Andrew. And that was going quite well, and it all happened by accident almost. A friend asked, really, would you mind advertising, because we had a website advertising the cottage, and a friend asked, would I help him advertise his cottage as well? So we did. And then a neighbour asked, and we've grown from there really without any big plan to do so necessarily. We're up to about 98 cottages now. We took about £1 million worth of bookings last year, but we only get a small percentage of that, of course, so we're not huge, but it's all going remarkably well at the moment. So what I was thinking, if we go to the next slide, I was going to split it down into I think we do our productivity, or the way we handle data and what have you, I think is quite good. So I thought I'd go over that, talk a bit about the marketing that we do. Andrew asked me to expand a bit on the analytics side of things, and social media, of course. I don't think you're allowed to do a talk these days without talking about social media, so we'll do a bit on that as well. If we could flick on again. When we started, which was 2007, I read a book by Dave Allen, not the comedian, he's an American guy, and it was a book called Getting Things Done. And I read it just at the right time, I guess, but it had a huge influence on us. I think there's some really great practical tools there about dealing with all the information that we have to deal with these days. There's stuff coming in from everywhere, from emails, voicemail, social media again, all this sort of stuff that's coming in all the time. And the tips I got from this book, I think, have been quite important for us. I think that's partly why things are going quite well. In the book, he describes how it's important to catch all this information as it's coming in. For us, I suppose the main is email. Hundreds of emails coming in every day, people wanting to stay in cottages. But of course, there's voicemail as well coming in, text messaging, mobile phones, social media again. And he talks about how important it is to make sure you catch all that you have systems in place to make sure you don't miss anything, nothing falls through the net. One of the best ones, with that in mind, one of the best things I think we did was we signed up with a company called Moneypenny. They're based up in Wrexham, and they handle our voice calls now. We have like a virtual secretary based up in Wrexham, and she looks after us and looks after about half a dozen other companies as well, I think. And rather than me having to troll through all voicemails on the machine, trying to recognize what people are saying, what have you, she types it all up for me on an email, sends it through so it lands in my inbox. And of course, thankfully, she asks all the right questions, because most of them are wanting to stay in a cottage, so I need to know how many people, when they want to come, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to know about their dog, which is what you end up having to listen to if it's a voicemail. And we have a nice little script, actually, that scrapes that information and puts it straight into our booking system. But going back to the book, once you've collected everything, it talks about how important it is to process all that and to process it efficiently, which again I think we do sort of fairly well. I try not to go to bed unless all those inboxes where I've collected everything is empty. So I make sure my email inbox is empty every night. I'll make sure all my social media stuff's done. I'll make sure the traditional in-tray on my desk is all empty. I haven't necessarily done anything, but I've processed it. And I think what's important when you're processing that information is that you decide, is there an action here? Or what do I do with this information? Do I file it? Is there an action? Then it needs to go into a to-do list. Is it something I need to schedule in the calendar? And I think if you commit to emptying your inbox, you get quite good at processing those really quickly. And one of the best tips from the book is the 2-minute rule. That if you can do that, if there is a job there, if there is an action, and you can do that within 2 minutes, then do it. But if it's going to take more, if it's going to take 5, 10, half an hour, 2 hours, then put it on the to-do list. Yeah, I'd recommend the book. It's helped us a lot. if we can flick to the next one, one of the tools that helps us a lot in the stuff that we need to file, you know, that email that there's no action there, but you think, oh, I want to keep that, it'll be useful for later, or a letter that's come in, or anything that comes in that there's no action, but you just want to file it away. We use Evernote, and Evernote's a really cool little free app that's on the laptop, it's on your phone, it's on your desktop, wherever you are. And for me, it's more often than not emails. I'll just send that email to Evernote. I'll tag it with a couple of things that I want to use if I want to find it again. And of course, it's there on all my devices, on my phone. If I'm here, as long as I've got Wi-Fi, I can get all that information. So it's a great little tool, and I'd recommend it. It's free. You can upgrade to a premium version, I think. What's good about that? I think the only advantage is you can take photographs to enter notes into Evernote. So if you've got a bottle of wine, and you want to, oh, that was a nice bottle of wine, I want to remember that for next time, you can actually take a picture of the label, and Evernote will recognize the text and everything on that, or a menu a recipe in a book or something. And if you're looking for that recipe, all you have to do is type in chocolate muffins or whatever it was, and it'll bring that recipe, it'll bring that photograph back to you. And you can use it as a notebook as well, of course. You can just open the app up, and if you want to make notes while you're talking to somebody, you just type it in there. So it's a great app. Can we go to the next one? Cloud storage is important as well, I think, for us. There are 3 girls who help me now in the office, but they all work from home. So everything we create, if we're Skyping together, all the documents, the spreadsheets and what have you that we might work together on are all on Google Drive is my preferred cloud storage. It surprises me perhaps that more people aren't using or aren't committing perhaps to cloud storage. I think everybody will do it soon, but if you're not there yet, then get there as quick as you can. And the way to commit, I think, is to move my documents into the Drive device. If you're using Dropbox, I think is another one, and is it SkyDrive as well? Is it a Microsoft SkyDrive? I haven't used those, but Google Drive has the advantage perhaps that you can create documents within it as well. There is a word processor there, there's a spreadsheet there, there's a presentation which I did this on, it's all there. And when you're speaking to somebody over the phone, you can share that document, and I can see Helen when she's typing in a box, I can see her cursor in pink, and she's typing information in, and I can be typing more information in another box and deleting whatever she's written usually, stuff like that. And the next one again. And then Todoist is another nice little app. The action ones I usually send to Todoist. You do have to pay for this one. There is a free version, but for it to be compatible with your email, I think you have to pay £1.50 a month. If you pay for the premium version, if there's an action on that email, you can email it straight to Todoist, and it's there. And again, it's a cloud-based thing, so it's on every device, and it's really useful for if I'm sat here waiting for something to happen. I'll just scroll through my to-do items, and maybe tick a few of them off as I'm doing it. It's quite nice. I like the way this works because it gives you little wins as well. You know, when you complete a task, there's a tick box there, and it gives you a little star or something. I know it's silly, but I think it's quite nice. It encourages you to go through your list quite often. Going back to the getting things done philosophy, he also goes through to explain how important it is that you have your to-do list, or the ones that are relevant, in front of you when you need them. For example, for me, because we live on quite a rural farm, if I'm out and about in town or I've gone down to the village, quite often I like to see that to-do list that I've got of things to buy when I'm in town. I don't want to see them when I'm in the office, but when I'm out and about, then there are ways in that you can just tag your to-do lists or where you want to see them. Another popular one I use is I work sort of slightly silly hours. I'll work late at night sometimes or early in the morning, which means a lot of the stuff I need to get done, I can't get done because they're 9-to-5 type jobs. I need to phone someone. So I tag things as well with the 9-to-5 tag, so that if I am working 9-to-5, I'll call up that list and say, oh, right, these are the things I should be maybe thinking of doing now. So again, I'd encourage people to do that perhaps. So that was the productivity bit. I don't know, I was going to talk about marketing. For us, it's all about the website. We take some orders over the phone, but we try and keep that to a minimum. With our website, we've tried to keep it as simple and clean as possible. And our priority with the website is to make sure it works. We focus really hard that there isn't any possibility of it crashing or it not loading as people want. And I think that's been key for us. It isn't particularly clever, it isn't particularly fancy, but it works, and it works every time. I'm not actually, at the moment, I'm not sure that's quite true, because we updated the website about a month ago, and there are a few tiny niggles there. I don't think many people would notice, but we're trying to iron those out at the moment. But it's all about the website for us, and I think that's probably true for all tourism businesses, perhaps. So it's important that you start from the ground up, that your website works, that it's good, and it looks nice, and it's attractive, and maybe hold back a bit from the complicated side of things. Don't be too ambitious initially. For us, I think the website is quite popular because of the images on it, and I think images are more and more important. It's a powerful tool, I think, if you're trying to sell anything, that the images are good. We've invested quite a bit of time in, well, I enjoy taking pictures anyway, but we bought quite a fancy camera, and we spent quite a lot of time making sure we could process those images quite well, getting to grips with Lightroom and Photoshop and what have you. I suppose we could have outsourced that work. We could have asked somebody else to come in and take photographs for us, but I think it's almost a must these days that you have some sort of continuous marketing on your website. There's always blog articles going up, there's always Facebook stuff going on. So there's always a need for images, I think. So I'm glad we made that commitment to make sure that we could do that ourselves. And I think perhaps the post-processing is more important than people think. iPhones and what have you will take decent pictures these days, but it's maybe important that you get to grips with things like resolution of images and the size of images, and what's the difference between a JPEG and a GIF and what have you. And that you maybe use tools like Picasa, which is free, or you could use Lightroom is my favorite. It's only about £50, I think, just to make sure that those images look at their best once you've posted them wherever you're posting them. We've also started playing with video. I think if images are powerful, I think video is arguably perhaps even more powerful again. I think you can get it wrong with video, because it's quite a powerful tool for selling stuff. Of course, if you do it badly, then it'll turn people off just as easily as it might turn them on. But we've had a go at it, and I think it's working okay. And we've also started playing with advertising on YouTube. Those those annoying clips that you get before the video that you want to watch, and most people just hit skip ad after 5 seconds or what have you. We've started including our videos within those. And the great thing about it, actually, is quite cheap. I probably shouldn't tell anybody, because it'll probably be less cheap if I tell everybody this, but at the moment, it costs about 2p a view or something like that. That's all we're paying for those little adverts you see coming up in front. And the way YouTube prices those adverts is, if you're like most people, if the person that's viewing our video just hits skip ad, that doesn't cost us anything. But the 2p kicks in once they watch 30 seconds of our video. So if they decide, oh, that first 5 seconds is quite interesting, if they then go on to watch the first 30 seconds of our video, that's when we get charged the 2p. We've sort of tried to abuse that system a little bit, because what we've done is we've made 20-second videos. So we make the first 5 seconds is perhaps very important, that you make an interesting first 5 seconds to try and persuade people to watch the next 5 seconds. But then after 20 seconds, we just put a still of our logo up. So the video is still 30 seconds long, but for the last 10 seconds of that, there's just a still video. Now I'm hoping when people see that, that's the time when they'll hit skip ad. So I've given them the information I want in the first 20 seconds. They hit skip ad, they've seen our advert, and it's cost us nothing. And I think that we're getting quite a bit of traffic from that, so I think that works quite well. The option is, whilst they're watching our video, a little banner ad comes up along the bottom, and if they're very interested, hopefully they'll click on that banner ad and they'll go through to to our website and that cottage that, well, in our case, that cottage that we're describing on there. Google AdWords is important, of course. It's very expensive these days, unfortunately. When we first started, we were paying 5-10p a click for the keywords that we've chosen. I think, unfortunately, now we're paying £50 a click. It's really changed really quickly. Everybody's latched onto it now. The approach we take with it, which again I'd recommend, is, well, we've simplified it a lot over the years. We used to have loads of keywords and loads of different campaigns running and what have you, and it all got a bit too complicated perhaps. I think we were trying to be too clever, whereas now we've only got about half a dozen, maybe 10 at most keywords. And if you haven't tried AdWords, I'd really recommend it, because you can start very small. Don't be scared of it. You can start very small with a very small budget, and just try 2 or 3 keywords. And it's quite good fun. Google will talk you through the process. If you just sign up, they'll take you through the process. It's quite easy to do. And all you need to be careful of, I guess, is that budget. They just ask you right at the beginning, what's your daily budget? So you might just set that to £1. And then you can be safe in the knowledge then all that's going to cost you is £1 a day, and you can play around with keywords and what have you. But then as you expand, I perhaps suggest don't go too crazy with it. Just try and think carefully, when do I want people to see my advert? Be quite specific maybe with the keywords that you use. For us, of course, it's self-catering or holiday cottages, but I wouldn't put self-catering holiday cottage as a keyword, because that's too big, if you like. I'm competing with much bigger companies for those keywords. It would cost too much for me. So I'll be much more specific. I'll go self-catering in Barmouth or self-catering in Dyffryn Ardudwy, our tiny little village. And you'd be surprised how many people search for, that's a very specific keyword, you'd think, but you'd be surprised how many people search for that. And you'd be surprised how quickly Google will spend your money even for those very specific keywords. And then emailing, it's not as fashionable as it used to be, perhaps, emailing all your customers or what have you, but I think it still works really well. And the tool, again, that we use to do that is MailChimp. I think it's great. You can pay as you go, so you can pay something like 2 or 3p per email, or you can pay monthly if you get a bit bigger and you're sending out constantly. The pay monthly subscription probably works better. I discourage, don't fall into the trap of what we did initially. We just set up our emails on Outlook, and we sent out a great big huge email to all our customers. What happens then, unfortunately, is you get marked down as a bit of a spammer, and a lot of the email clients, people like Gmail or Yahoo, what have you, will highlight the fact that you're sending these mass emails out, and they'll sort of tend to block your emails, unfortunately. Whereas if you use MailChimp, you can be more confident that everything works better. MailChimp have quite a sort of an ethical approach to emails, in that if you just import your customer list and then send a huge mail out on the first week, if too many of those customers complain that they haven't requested that email and what have you, they will block your account. So you have to be, you have to behave yourself on there. You have to make sure that people that you're sending the emails to want your email and what have you. But then the advantage of that, of course, is because they're quite ethical, all the big email clients or service providers will allow that email to go through because they trust emails from MailChimp. They won't mark it as spam. So that's a good thing, I guess. So analytics, I'm not sure. Andrew asked me to expand on that. We're not a huge expert on analytics at all, and it's a big topic as well, I think. You could talk for ages about analytics. But we do use it. We use it quite a lot, and I think it's probably essential if you've got a website. If you're advertising your website, you're sort of guessing in the dark, perhaps, unless you've got some idea of what's going on. And analytics is the obvious tool to use to do that. I was thinking maybe I should talk about how you get analytics up and running. But it's the sort of thing you do once. Once you do it once, you can forget about it from there on in. So I'm not sure. I've only done it. Well, I've done it twice now because of the new email. So I'm not sure I'm the best one to advise on how to do it. But basically, you have to get a bit of code. Analytics will give you a bit of code, and you have to drop that into your website, and you have to make sure it's on every page. Our website is a WordPress-based website, so we actually use a little plugin, and you just put the code in the plugin, and the plugin will do the work for you. Maybe it's, if you're not, too great on the website, it's something you should farm out, because it's not something you're going to ever have to do again. So if there is a friend or even somebody professional who can do that for you, it's probably worth asking them to do it, perhaps. But then once you've done it, what have I done with these? Oh, I've got blank pages here. Once it's up and running, you get this sort of information. It's all a bit small to see, perhaps, is it? What I'm trying to show there is our views over the last 30 days. So we're getting, I don't know, between 600 to 1,000 sessions, they're called, which is visits, basically, people coming to the website. And those little peaks you can see there, perhaps on the 5th of September, the 11th of September, the 3 little peaks are the emails that we've sent out. We always get a little peak there when we send an email out to customers. Sessions totals over the last 30 days, there were 20,000 or 19,700 sessions. Users, that's unique users. That differs from sessions a bit, because of course some users will come back. So there's, one user might come back and view the website twice. I think there has to be, for it to count as a new session, there has to be a 40-minute respite between the two sessions. If they go away for 40 minutes, then come back, that's counted as a new session. Page views we pay attention to, of course, and pages per session, which is that one down on the first column there. I think that's quite good, and I think that figure there is quite good, sorry, I should say, about 3.7. So of the people who come to our website, they'll usually view between 3 and 4 pages. Some will view a lot more, of course. And they'll spend about 4 minutes on our website on average. Bounce rate there, I don't know, maybe I'm talking and maybe this is all very basic to everybody, but bounce rate is people just come to your website and then leave straight away. So that's the only figure you want to go down, basically. You don't want people landing on your website and then leaving. So all the others you want to ideally increase, bounce rate you want to go down. And percentage new sessions, that's new visitors. So half the people that came to our website last month had been before, the other half were the first time there. And then the most obvious thing to do when you're on that first page is to compare how you did to another period in time. So the blue line there is this year. You can change the dates quite easily. You go up to that top right-hand corner, change the dates there. So that's the last 12 months. And then the blue line, the blue line is the last 12 months. The orange line is the previous 12 months. So our sessions are up 25%, users up 23%, page views up 23%. The only slight, the red ones aren't great, unfortunately. Session duration, people aren't spending quite as much time on our website, but it's only down 5%, so I'm not sure if I'm worrying about that too much. Bounce rate has gone up a bit, so again, that's in red, so that's not great. The little dip, actually, you can see there on the blue line is our new website, which we did last month. We didn't lose visitors during that period, that U-shape you can see. It's just the code that was on the website to register those users wasn't working properly, unfortunately. So that's the dip there. There's a ton of information on analytics, but one of the most fun ones, I'm not sure what it tells you really, is the live view. You can go straight onto live view and you can see what's happening there and then. So I did this day before yesterday, I think, in the afternoon, and there were 5 people on our website. I think 4 of them or something were all in Hull, which was weird because there must have been something going on in Hull or something. I'm guessing, I don't know, you can get a bit paranoid about this, but I'm wondering were there some 4 people in an office somewhere, I don't know, all looking at our website at the same time. It's a bit weird that 4 people all in Hull, which is that orange dot you see at the bottom there. And it also tells you where they found you, where they've been, what page they're on even. It's a bit scary, how people can track you exactly what you're doing. So one of them was on the home page, one of them was looking at our availability there, one of them was looking at the blog, etc. So it's all quite interesting. It's a bit sad and geeky, I suppose, to be looking at that. What was it? And then, this was an interesting one. We noticed this about a year ago now. The number of mobile devices you can split down, you can look at what sort of device people are using to look at your website. And there you can see, again, this was a snapshot from, was it Sunday? The last 30 days, there were 10,000 people were accessing us from our desktop, but almost as much, almost half as much, using tablets and mobile devices now to access our website. And that had a big influence on us when we designed the new website about 3 months ago we started. Our new website is one of these sort of responsive designs. So our website will look quite different now. If people are looking at it on their mobile phone, it'll look quite different to what it does on a laptop or a desktop. And it's, the booking process hopefully now is easier because it's, I personally would never book a holiday on a mobile phone, but people are doing it apparently. And hopefully now our new website will make that job a lot easier for people. I think the buttons are a lot bigger and what have you, and see, touch wood, it seems to be working so far. I'm not sure if I understand this, if I'm honest. Oh, did that work? This is the flow, how people are going through the website. It tells you where people land, where they go next, and what have you. I don't know, I'm not sure as I say, I'm not sure I understand it. I do look at the orange sort of thing there is people leaving the website. So if I see a page maybe where there's a lot of orange, people are maybe a bit turned off by that page. If they're leaving that top one there in the green box, the top big green box at the top, they're leaving there at the availability page, which actually that I don't mind because they're leaving our website, unfortunately, to make a booking. Our booking isn't a secure site, so they have to leave our website to go to a secure site to place their card details and what have you. So I'm sort of counting that one as a bit of a win, but all the others, maybe if I see if a blog article or something is turning people off, I'll have a look at that and maybe change it a bit. This one, what's this one? Oh, of course, this is very important. This is how people are coming to your website. So referrals are adverts we put on other websites. We list our cottages on listing sites and what have you, TripAdvisor, places like that. Organic search is the big one because that's free traffic. If we can increase that number, that would be brilliant. Direct is people who know our website already and they're going straight there. They're just typing in the thing straight away. Email is our email campaigns. Paid search is Google AdWords for us. And social I think sometimes it's sensible to have a bit of skepticism when you look at these figures. Social there, only 516 sessions from social. I'm convinced we get more than that. Be a bit skeptical. If you don't believe the figures, maybe just look into it. I'll probably go into that at some stage and check that. I think we get more than that from our social media. And then these are the adverts that we do, which is great because it tells us straight away which adverts are working for us. The return on investment calculations is really easy from this. You can say, well, I paid this much for this advert and I got this many views. I paid this much for this advert, and so you can work it down to cost per view almost for adverts. And we try and be quite brave, even though we're a bit bigger than we used to be. I'm still trying to be as brave as possible with our adverts. If an advert isn't working for us, we'll pull it straight away. And we try not to commit to a yearly advert. We'll just go daily if we can. And if that advert doesn't work, we'll give it 30 days. If it doesn't work, we're not getting the cost per view is too high, we'll shift quite big chunks of money now across to another advert and see if that works better. So that one is very important to everybody, I would have thought. People are coming to your website, how are they coming there? And our emails as well are listed there. It tells you which email is working well, which email didn't work well, and things like that. Sorry, it's dragging on a bit, but then going on to the organic search, this is really important to us, how people what keywords people are typing in to find us and what have you. Obviously, we're called Dione. Luckily, people are searching for Dione quite often, and they're finding us quite well there. But the key one there is perhaps Snowdonia Cottages. People are finding us on that one. I can see at number 8. And then there was another one I saw. Holiday Cottages, North Wales. I can't find it now. Oh, yeah, number 6 and number 8. There's an interesting comparison. The number 6, Holiday Cottages, North Wales, 12 people found us, but I think if we look at the time they spent on our website, they only spent 44 seconds for Holiday Cottages, North Wales, But Snowdonia Cottages, they spent, how long did they spend? Oh, I've lost it now, sorry. It was 44 seconds, and what was the other one? It was over 4 minutes. So it's an interesting, I think an interesting, but obviously people looking for Snowdonia Cottages like what they see. People searching for holiday cottages North Wales don't like what they see when they find our website. I'm quite pleased with that because I think we are that's how I'd like to label ourselves as Snowdonia Cottages. We've got mountain cottages or whatever. We haven't got more seaside resort things. So I'm quite pleased about that. But if that wasn't your intention, then maybe you'd have to look at that and change your website a little bit. What was that one? Behaviour, what are we talking about there? Oh yeah, where people are landing, that's an interesting one. You know, which pages on your website are the most popular? The thing I noticed from here is there's a couple of cottage pages coming up there, a couple of which are really nice cottages, and you'd expect people to land on those and for those to be popular pages. But then there's a couple, it's because they've had their turn on the homepage, and it's telling me how important it is that the cottages that we want to push are on the homepage. The influence it has over how many people visit that page is enormous. So hopefully our cottage owners don't know that too much because they'll all be hassling me to be on the homepage, but we try and rotate them every day. So that was analytics. We should talk about social media, I guess. We took the approach of just trying to do one at a time, which I think was quite sensible. And the one we picked was Facebook. We weren't going to blast all of them, try and do too much on all of them. We said, right, let's go for Facebook. I think that's the one for us because pictures look good on Facebook and what have you. And it's a chatty medium, and it's worked quite well for us. It's really popular. Helen in the office does it better than I used to. I used to have a go at it, but Helen's more chatty, and that's worked well for us. She's just that sort of bubbly character, and she's good. She's just a Facebook type person. You know, she's younger than me, and she's good at having conversations, and Facebook's really important to us now. We post at least once a day. We use the schedule tool on there, which is important, I think, so that we can get ahead of ourselves. So if Helen is having a few days off or she doesn't work weekends, she's scheduled posts, and the posts just get on there while she's not working. If Facebook isn't free like it used to be, perhaps, I think if you have got a post that you want to sort of, they call it boosting on Facebook, you do have to be ready these days to pay for that post to be shown on people's, we call it timeline. And I think it's important. Well, we took the step at the beginning of paying for likes. So people who like our page, we did go out there and pay for those likes initially. And so, because I think maybe if you've only got 200 likes, it's a bit of a waste of time, maybe spending a lot of time posting or what have you. So it's probably worth, you can put adverts, you know the adverts down the right-hand side, just put a little advert there, try and get more likes, build that up to 1,000 people maybe, and then it's probably worth spending time on promoting your Facebook posts. I don't get Twitter. I don't know. I don't think it works for us. I might be wrong. I think the rest of the world seems to think it's great, but for us, again, it's pictures, and I don't think Twitter does pictures very well. I can understand if you're Beyonce or whatever, and you've got millions of adoring fans, I can understand that it works for her. Or if you're Stephen Fry and you can write, really clever, witty things. But all we've done with Twitter, I'm afraid, and everybody says don't do it, but we've done it, is we've just linked our Facebook account to it. So every time we post something on Facebook, it goes to Twitter. And I'm afraid, I know it's really bad, that's all we do. The last time I spoke with Andrew, and I was saying we're getting into Google+. And what a flipping nightmare that was. That hasn't worked at all. That was a big mistake. We spent an awful lot of time for the last 6 months. I think Google Plus was established, or it was certainly my impression that Google were trying to push Facebook to one side with their own social media thing. I think even Google themselves are almost giving up on it now. It just hasn't worked for us, unfortunately. We tried to build a community there like we did on Facebook, but it hasn't really worked. We still post on there. We don't have a conversation on there anymore, but if we write a blog article, we'll still copy that across to Google+, and we'll still post new cottages as they come on Google+, because Google Plus posts will work quite well, will show up quite well on search rankings. You know, we did a blog article recently on wild swimming in North Wales. If you type in wild swimming Snowdonia, our Google Plus post will appears above our blog post from our own website. So it's probably worth doing just for that. But you know, creating that community unfortunately hasn't worked for us on there. And Instagram, we're playing around with a bit. We cheat a bit on there. There's a few apps that you can pay for that'll do some automated things for you. If you post anything on and tag it with Snowdonia, if anybody in the world, I think, tags anything with Snowdonia, I've got a little app running that means I like your picture. I'm afraid I have probably never seen your picture, but you know, it sort of works. And we try and post pictures up there of our new cottages, and if I'm passing somewhere pretty, it sort of works for us. The linking back to our website isn't as easy on Instagram, but it's worth doing. If you've got the photographs, you might as well share them on Instagram, I think. And that's it, really. There are lots of other social medias. I don't know who recognises what on there. Stumble upon is a great way of wasting time. But I don't know, we don't use it. Dig, things like that. But as I say, we've taken the approach of just targeting Facebook initially. We've tried Google Plus, it hasn't worked. I think we're going to look at Pinterest next, and maybe we're going to have a go. But you know, to be confirmed. Diolch.